Hello and welcome back to my channel. Um, you might be wondering why we're actually doing a video outside. Reason being is we're actually going to utilize a training tool that is actually in our house and we can actually use it whenever we feel like it. But it's also at the same time as minimalist as possible, and you can actually do it anytime you want, and it doesn't have any kind of restrictions whatsoever other than you can't actually bring it anywhere you go, but you can actually find it almost everywhere you go, and that would be a door. Yes, a door. um, Excluding the automatic doors and the garage doors, the metal doors or any kind of door in your house is actually a good training tool, especially when you're training for empty-handed stuff. In this case, we're actually going to train in doing FMA, Kali or Arnis, and you can practice the, using the door with two sticks. But in this case, we're actually going to use empty hands since it's actually a whole lot easier and it is a lot more friendly when you're practicing with the door. So, first things first, you would want to have your door open, obviously, but in this case, you would want to actually be aware on how your door opens and closes. And you also want to actually be aware of the people around you, who is in your household, or even your pets, who is actually going in and out of your door and stuff on the doorway, even behind the door and stuff. You may want to actually clear some things. Say, for example, these pile of boxes that I have right here. But if it's more than enough for you to actually move the door from inside and out, that's fine. All you want to do or have is that your door's hinges are smooth enough that you can actually swing the door around. So the reason why I'm laying the groundwork here for practice with the door, and including the hinges, is because we're actually going to do the uh, first three parts of the Heaven 6. Or more likely, actually breaking the Heaven 6 count into two parts. So the first part will be a 3 count, and then the next part will be a 3 count. And one of the ways that we're actually going to do that is, so this is the Heaven 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if we're actually going to break those down and divide the Heaven 6 into two, so the first 3 count will be 1, 2, 3, and then the next part will be the second three from this side. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. This is very key, very important when you're actually practicing with the door. The reason being is you want to also use this footwork, or even practice with the V step, and then do that footwork, right? Like so. Okay? You want to do this, right? So from the center again, I take a V step to my left, like so. Okay? That's what you want to do. You're not necessarily doing the Heaven 6, although you can, but since we're actually practicing with the door, our last bit will be trying to push it like this. Okay? Take a V step here, like so. So, if we're going to implement this with the door, say for example, I try to go to this side, like so, okay? You don't necessarily want to push the door very hard with your arm on the last bit, on the 3rd count, but you would want to actually at least have a slight push on the door and then try to hold the door in place, because you would want to do the next bit, the second part, which is the next 3. 1, 2, 3, like so. Okay? So basically, what you're doing is practicing the open and close concept. So you close and do this, then slightly push the door and then hold on the ledge. Okay, the next, pull the door towards you. Do the next three, like so. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Pull the door. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. As I do it slowly here, I go to my left side first, which is actually going in to the door. 2, 3. And the next is going outside. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Like so. And so that's actually the first part in practicing with the door. Another thing is you can now break the 2 or 3 counts. So we broke up the Heaven 6, right, into 2 3 count parts. And now you can actually break the 3 count parts into just, say, around 2 counts. So instead of actually just doing 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, and 3, you can now actually practice it into, that's 1, 2, 1, and then 2. Okay? So instead of the 1 and 2 count, this one becomes a 1. Okay? That's count 1. Even though there are 2 moves in it, you count them as 1 because you're combining them already. And then 2 will be your strike. Then 1, 2. So with door, it'll look like this. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Like so. Okay? In doing this, because you're actually doing some kind of burst movement, especially with combining the 1 and 2 and turning them into a 1 count. So instead of doing 1 and 2, you're going to count this as 1. You might want to pause a bit after doing the 1, 2 combining to 1 count. Okay, you might want to pause doing this because this is actually a burst movement. In actuality, as I actually do it on my left side here, in actuality, this is actually going to be a very explosive movement that once you actually do it, in the worst case scenario, it's just going to be a stun. But in the best case scenario, it's actually a strike as well, simultaneously parrying and then hitting the jugular or the neck, most likely. So I go to my left side here to put it on this, okay, like so. See, that's a strike already. Do it on my right side, like so. Okay, so if you can't hit the target with this motion, you can simply use this as a wedge to push your target away further from you. And this slap right here, if it's a limb, you actually can choose to parry it away from you, right? So it just goes past your body or past your shoulder in my case. But this can actually be a strike if you have hit the limb hard enough. Okay, so if I try to do it again towards my right, like so, right? Towards my left, like so. But when you're practicing this with the door, you want to be very careful. So this is the reason why I warned in the first part of the video that you want to be careful on your doorway, even behind the door, on who's passing through, your pet or someone else in the house, or some kind of furniture that's hiding behind the door. Because once you do this motion, you might want to be very careful because you might hit somebody or something, destroy your furniture and whatnot. So without the door first, you might want to practice this, doing this motion, okay? So if you're doing the 1, 2, and 3, you combine the 1 and 2 doing this, right? So once you get used to that and you already have practiced your control, you can do that, okay? And then do a 3, like so, 3, like so, then do a 3, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the basic gist of it. You can actually go further down because we're actually breaking the Heaven 6 downwards into, say, just doing a 1 move. But doing a 1 move is actually going to be a lot more explosive than this. So if I'm actually going to go to my right, for example, and take a V step, if this is already explosive enough, like so, this one, you just do that, okay? So what you're trying to do here now is trying to slam the door away from you. So if you're actually going to try to close the door and you're inside, so you close the door like this, right? So you're inside the room and you do this, kind of like a slap, which is actually the first move into doing the 1 and 2, right? Once you do that, and immediately the door will close. So you have to be a lot more careful in this, because if somebody just came along on the doorway and it's well timed, very unfortunate, they'll be hit with a slam on the door on their head or while they're coming in. So you really, really want to pay attention when doing this. So in reality, what you want to do, so the door is in my center line, right? What you want to do is just tap and then take a hard step as you do your V step to the side, okay? But in reality, without the door, it's going to look like this, okay? Like so. But with the door, so if you imagine the door here in my center line, I try to slap it to close. I take a hard step with a hard V step, and then I just do that, okay? And if you're not comfortable, you can actually use your other hand as a support. So it'll just hold the door as you try to slap it close. So the door will practically stay in place. As I do it here, door is on my center line, like so, okay? That's what you want. So do it on the other side. See? Like so. Notice that I'm actually not going on the side. I'm not sidestepping. I'm doing a V step. Okay? Because the V step is not just you evading, but it actually keeps you close on your target or on your assailant, because you want to continue the offense while they miss their offense. Okay? So this is a very, very huge important note when doing your footwork. This is actually a very good portion to practice your footwork as well. V step instead of a side step. So again, as I showed to you, V step as opposed to a side step. You don't want a side step, you want a V step. Okay? You don't want to be on the side when doing your door training. You want to do the V step so that you can remain in contact with your training tool, which is the door. Okay? Even if I go behind the door, I'm still doing a V step and I'm not far from it. Okay? Like so. So there you have it. The door is a very, very practical tool when it comes to practicing your Heaven 6 variations. So that's basically what we did. What we did was we took the Heaven 6, this 6 count, and broke it into 2 parts of 3. Because you're going to do the first 3 motions on one side of the door, and then the next 3 motions on the other side of the door, which is going to be basically this. Okay? As I count, 1, as I take a V step as well, 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we broke it down further by combining the 1 and 2 and making that into a 1 count. So we're just basically doing 2 counts on each side. So instead of a 1, 2, and 3, we're now doing 1 and 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2. And then we broke it down further by just doing a 1. So in reality, you just don't want to slap and let the assailant go. You're using the what is famously known in the Kali or Arnis world as the gunting motion. Gunting in Tagalog means scissors or shears in English. So you're basically like a scissor, or using your hands as a scissor to shear the limb of your opponent. So instead of just doing this, your supporting hand is going to do like that. Okay? The application of the open and close concept again. But this time, instead of doing it simultaneous, you're doing it at the same time. Like so. Okay? So instead of doing this on the door, you're doing this on the door. So that's a 1 count. So do it here. Like so. So hopefully your view of the door would actually change, if not added. So you're not just going to look at the door and say, hey, it's something that can actually open and close the passageway that I'm going through, or prevent somebody from coming in. No. You're actually going to look at the door now and use it as your training tool when you're practicing your empty hand techniques. Or in this case, just using template and then use 2 sticks, because the motions are still the same anyway. Just have to be mindful that you don't want to hit your door very hard or too hard, because you might destroy your door, and if that happens, you need to buy a new one, which is very expensive. So thank you so much for watching, and always train safe. God bless you.